Good morning, friends and family of the internet. Welcome back, watchers on the wall. Hey, everybody, my name is Samantha, and oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about, you guys. So, there was another trans Tifa, militant, left leaning, transgender woman who killed an innocent person in Massachusetts. We're going to talk about that. But really, I want to focus in on how the Rockefeller family can be tied to almost everything bad happening in this country today. So, what do you mean, Sam? Like, how can you make that statement so easy? Don't go anywhere, folks, because I have compiled an entire list of let's blame it on the Rockefellers just for you this amazing Saturday. So, to give you guys just a little bit of background of who I am, I was an educator for many years. I have a master's degree plus 21 and a minor in science. I am a homesteader. I am published a book, if you can see it, Growing Under a Poisoned Sky. And here recently, I've been an advocate for my community because I live 18 miles by GPS, 15 miles as the crow flies, to a plant called Smitty's, where there were over 400 tanks full of hydrocarbon liquids, oil, lubricant, you name it. It was located there, antifreeze. And this blew up August 22nd, 2025. The EPA is covering it up. Now, my concern is why in the world would the EPA, who is a federal agency paid for by your dollars and my dollars, try to be on the side of the polluter? Well, when you know the history of the EPA, you can understand why. Just so you guys understand, Rockefeller, the family, the patriarch, is the one that created oil as we know it. This is a family that for the past 100 years has made trillions with a T dollars in oil while polluting the entirety of the earth. And things began to happen where it began to make them look bad. Not only were they monopolizing the trade, they needed to control public opinion. So that is where this PR firm, public relations, really started, was with the Rockefeller family. They learned to control the narrative, to pump enough money into people that would say things about them. That included churches, newspapers, and federal organizations. They actually were able to get one of their family members into the second most coveted political spot in this country, vice president. And they actually did that after the Watergate scandal, because if you know anything, Richard Nixon, President Nixon, had to work with then Governor Rockefeller of New York City. So you get the Watergate scandal, he resigns, head down, right? Where President Ford comes in, and who else does he put as his second? Well, at this point, the EPA has already been suggested to Congress, and it's coming to be formed. You'll find that the Rockefellers are also connected to the creation of the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. You will also find that the Rockefeller family is connected directly to the trans ideology sweeping our country. You will also find that this family is behind doctors being licensed. You have to go to their schools. You have to follow their licensing procedures. Folks, this is all by design, right? Because if everybody doesn't know what they're looking for, then they can control what is going on. So here's my question. Who's going to come back and clean up all the abandoned oil wells all over this country? because you can lay that at the Rockefeller feet too. I'm just saying. Let me see if I can get this video up for you guys. Because this is a legitimate question.
These rolling hills high in the northeast of the United States may seem unspoiled. But this region is the birthplace of the American oil industry. The country's first commercial oil well wasn't sunk in Texas, but here in Pennsylvania, way back in 1859. It was the first of a vast number of wells drilled and worked dry across the state.
Hey, good morning, Miles.
When their wells are no longer viable, responsible companies employ experts like Luke Plants to seal them up, preventing any leaks or contamination in the future.
I'm going to give you one of these,
Perfect.
and then we'll go take a look around the site.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
But in the pioneering, unregulated oil rush days, many drill sites went unrecorded, unplugged and abandoned, and now honeycomb the ground, including under cities and towns.
Many wells exist in places that have grown up around them, so suburbs and urban areas that were developed long after the well was drilled, and now they present a threat to human life.
These images from Pennsylvania's Department of Environmental Protection show toxic gas and liquids belching from old wells, contaminating the air and threatening to poison drinking water. One study has estimated that the methane emissions from the US's tally of abandoned wells is equivalent to the annual CO2 output of 2.1 million cars. Some forgotten wellheads have even been uncovered under people's homes. Plugging and sealing off a disused well is hazardous, highly specialised work that can take a lot of time and money.
Watch your step.
So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I want you to understand the ecological damage that our country is facing. Look, my daddy made his money working in chemical plants. I traveled the United States and outside of the United States because my dad knew how to work hard. I don't have a problem with oil products. They're literally in everything. My problem are these multi-billion dollar, multi-million dollar companies not protecting the environment. So, like I said, you can connect the EPA all the way back to the Rockefellers, because it says right here that concern about air and water pollution had spread in the wake of disasters. An offshore oil rig in California fouled beaches with millions of gallons of spilled oil near Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know how to say that river, choking with chemical contaminants, and had spontaneously burst into flames. In the early 1970s, as a result of heightened public concerns about deteriorating city air, natural areas littered with debris, and urban water supplies contaminated with dangerous impurities, President Richard Nixon presented the House and Senate a groundbreaking 37-point message on the environment, right? So you've got the Rockefeller standing right there. At this point, their family has been billionaires, right? The first ever in the entirety of the world. For 100 years, it's been a wealthy family. Now they're realizing that they're no longer monopolizing, right? They can't monopolize the oil anymore. That was shot down. They had to break up, all their little companies. So now their concern is, how else will they control what's going on? Because it's obvious they can't hide, the pollution. So the best way, my husband and I were talking about this, the best way to do it would then to be control the organizations and the agencies that would come in and test for pollution or would clean up pollution. So they needed to control how the EPA was set up, how the EPA changes what it's going to test for. It's important. So, basically, he went on talking to forward to Congress a plan to tighten safeguards on the seaborne transportation of oil, approving a national contingency plan for the treatment of oil spills, proposing a tax on lead additives in gasoline. These people irritate me. Around the same time, President Nixon also created a council in part to consider how to organize federal government programs designed to reduce pollution. So it goes on to say the EPA would have the capacity to do research on important pollutants, right? And the impacts of those on the environment, both by itself and together with other agencies. The EPA would monitor the condition of the environment, biological as well as physical. What these people have done is created a fourth arm of the Constitution. They have created non-elected bureaucrats. Let me ask you a question. Right now in Tangipahoa Parish, they are telling the citizens this is nothing to be worried about. So far, they have admitted to lead, arsenic, barium that they have found in ponds. That's not even the river. That's not our drinking water. That's in local ponds and ditches, okay? 2 samples. Out of the same mouth that admitted that, they admitted, or they said, there's nothing to be worried about. Go home. I would like everybody, the next time you have your oil changed, or if you change your own oil, to dump that in your yard and then set it to fire. And then see how long it takes either the DEQ or the EPA to show up at your house and fine you thousands of dollars for burning 5 used quarts of oil on your property. Don't really do it. But if you understand what I'm saying, you can see like the craziness of the situation that people around me are in. And you can hear my husband and I have been battling for a week now, this awful mess in our face. But anyway, it goes on just to say, how they set it up. You'll find all these articles, all these videos in the description of my video. Feel free to dig into the history. I'm not telling you anything you can't find on your own. So it does go on to say that Environmental Protection Agency is created. The EPA was established December 2nd, 1970, in response to growing public concerns over environmental degradation in the United States. The establishment of the EPA marked a pivotal moment in U.S. environmental policy, providing a centralized agency or another group of unelected bureaucrats who have more power than our elected officials. Go figure. Now, this is the Rockefeller family now telling you, oh, we are so rich. We've made so much money from oil. We own so many patents. We created the FDA. We created the EPA. We control the government. We own the Federal Reserve. We print the money. Look, we're bored. So now we're going to swap it up on you guys and tell you that we're going to spend all of our money fighting against big oil. You cannot make this up.
23rd richest family in the U.S. with a fortune of $11 billion. Today, much of that wealth goes towards philanthropy through organizations like the Rockefeller Brothers Fund and the Rockefeller Family Fund, both of which backed reports that suggest ExxonMobil knew more than it was letting on about the threat of global warming.
Well, if the board of ExxonMobil is not answering your calls, this is your opportunity. What would you say directly to them?
If I was talking to the board of ExxonMobil, I would say that right now their company seems to be morally bankrupt.
These fifth-generation descendants of John D. Rockefeller are speaking out against the company to which they owe their prosperity. David Kaiser is the grandson of former Chase Bank chairman David Rockefeller. Valerie Rockefeller Wayne is the daughter of former Senator Jay Rockefeller.
Because the source of the family wealth is fossil fuels, we feel an enormous moral responsibility for our children, for everyone, to move forward.
They're doing.
Folks, let me tell you something. It is not necessarily oil, when it's pulled out of the ground that is the problem. They're not telling you the truth. It is when you fully or partially combust it, or you begin to add lead to it, or you begin to add additives to it, or mix it with other toxic chemicals to create another chemical that they then add to your food, your makeup, and the fertilizers you use in your garden. What is creating climate change? We talk about it in our book, Growing Under a Poisoned Sky. Again, you can find that Kindle, Amazon. I'll link it in description. So you just click the link and go straight to it. If you don't support Amazon, get it at Walmart, get it off eBay. It's legitimately everywhere. It is them using, of course, it's them polluting, like, the Smitty's explosion, not having the proper containment walls around their tanks, right? That just got overlooked for 60 years until it blew up. Not having firefighting foam on the grounds in case it blows up, because let's be honest, every 3 days, a hydrocarbon plant leaks, explodes, or starts burning, right? Or there's a train derailment, or there is a ship sinking with this crap on it. Oil is not raising the temperature. It is poisoning the waterways and all of us because of their inability to spend money to stop this crap from happening. They immediately do the minimum the EPA requires, which is ridiculous, right? The EPA does nothing. They don't test for the right chemicals. They don't require that these plants do what they're supposed to do. They fine them. How about you shut them down? Smitty's had, this is all coming out, Smitty's had someone die on their facility. They had someone injured severely on that facility. They had antifreeze pumping out of their plant and through the ditches of the community just last year, but they weren't shut down. Okay. All right. Nothing to see here.
That by looking back. The charities they run funded investigations that appeared in the LA Times and Inside Climate News. The reports suggest Exxon had been at the forefront of climate change research since the late 1970s and knew the burning of fossil fuels would warm the planet and could eventually endanger humanity, even while the company downplayed the science in a series of newspaper ads and television interviews.
This is complicated. Don't believe statements that say it's clear that things are warming. It's not clear.
ExxonMobil accuses the Rockefellers of conspiring against the corporation. In a phone call with CBS News, a company official described it as a coordinated campaign to vilify the company.
And it is. And it is. Let me explain to you. Go look at what philanthropy groups are controlling solar power, wind power, alternative forms of energy. You will see the Gates, the Rockefellers, and the Fords, the same groups that brought us oil, but no longer have the lion's share of the pot. See, that's the problem, right? And they say they're like the 23rd richest family in America. That is also a lie. Their money is tied up in trust. This family legitimately will not run out of money. They can't.
Spokesman initially sent us a statement saying the reports were funded and then promoted by activists, claiming they're not credible and have been widely discredited. The company later retracted that statement, telling us they don't have a comment.
The company has taken the unusual step of publicly criticizing you and the family funds, calling you conspirators. This has gotten personal.
Well, you know, it's really very silly. For something to count as a conspiracy, it can't just have been done in concert with other people. It also has to be illegal, and we haven't done anything illegal.
Kaiser says a large majority of the family supports their efforts, but not everyone is on board.
You know, these family funds do not speak on behalf of all 200 family members.
His cousin, Ariana Rockefeller, insists all sides should be working together on solutions for climate change.
I don't think denouncing a family legacy is the best way to go about doing this.
Still, Kaiser and Wayne say it's important to learn what the company has done to clear up the debate over what to do next.
What we would hope from Exxon is that they would admit what they've done, these decades of denial, and continue what they've started in a very small way to do now, which is to look at alternatives. And we really hope they become an industry leader. They can set the tone for the industry in doing more, but the truth has to come out.
Love how they say that. Look at the size of this woman's pupils. Tell me she isn't on something, right? Huge pupils. Just saying. Okay, so let's talk about it. The truth does have to come out. There's nothing wrong with using oil. God gave us oil just like he gave us water. It is a it's never going to run out, folks. The problem are people like her that want to control the narrative. If they quit spraying stratospheric, toxic chemicals in the stratosphere and blocking the sun, the earth would be fine. But just so you guys know, there were still days hotter in the 1800s than there are now, and they didn't have AC. So I'm just saying, I want to show you what just came out in St. Louis. I found this very interesting. Talk about government cover-ups, right?
Now to a News Nation exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army...
A mysterious fog. If you've been watching me since I went to Maui, you know that I had firsthand reports that the night before the fire started, there was a mysterious fog that came down the Haleakala Mountain and covered parts of upcountry, which also had fires, but that was overshadowed by how bad Lahaina ended up being. By the way, guys, YouTube does not pay me. They've not paid me in over 5 months. They say that my information is harmful to a protected class of people. That protected class of people are illegal aliens and LGBTQ. Because I'm also going to talk to you about this trans Tifa nonsense, which will come next. Because I believe all of this, the Rockefellers were also involved in military. So let's keep going.
Now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zubez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime and it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing.
You guys, this makes me so mad. Come on. I am telling y'all, post-World War II, America was infiltrated by German scientists. I do not believe the America that went into World War II to fight, to stop the Nazis and Hitler would be the same America starting in the late 50s all the way through till today would have tested this crap on their subjects. I believe this was an infiltration. I still think these people are in power as a shadow government. I think the CIA has gone rogue. I have done video after video after video proving that to you. These poor people.
Looking at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river. The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well, isn't
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely, definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my two older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them.
And as somebody that is currently living through this in real time, the EPA isn't going to test for what needs to be tested. They're going to test for singular substances. They intentionally do not test for chemicals that have been combusted because those are the more volatile chemicals. It's ridiculous what our government has done.
And what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc-cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
Yep.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
No.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis?
I believe that they did. And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation, for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late. Elizabeth.
Well, they have a better chance of it with you on the case. Natasha Zuva.
How truly, utterly heartbreaking. Did y'all hear about the houses that exploded in Missouri too? They don't know what happened. Houses exploded. Like 5 or 6 houses just boom, and they're gone. No clue what happened. Well, last time I checked, they didn't. It's crazy, you guys. Another transgender killer arrested. If you don't think all these chemical tests, this MK Ultra in the schools, the Rockefeller Foundation pushing and funding this transgender ideology, you just don't realize how bad this is. Okay, so another transgender killer arrested at the house with Black Lives Matter in Palestine graffiti. I keep trying to tell you, just like everything else, the Gaza, the Palestine, that's all nonsense. What they're telling you is happening is not. It is the same people that created Black Lives Matter and transgender. If you align with the Palestinians, that's who you're aligning with. That's on you. Do you. I'm good. A middle-aged Massachusetts father is the latest victim of a transgender violence as a radical LGBTQ wokey killed the man for photographing his vandalism. Libs of TikTok posted about more trans violence on Thursday, saying Sasha Shakur, a man pretending to be a woman whose legal name is, I'm not even going to try it, was just arrested in Massachusetts after he had allegedly shot and killed a 57-year-old man. So this crazy was spray painting a local bridge when the victim took a picture of him, and he got angry and shot the man. But this is him. This is him talking. Listen to him.
So right now I want to talk about my experience as a trans woman going to the spa. I'm not going to mention the specific spa I'm at for safety reasons. They have been pretty accommodating. I wouldn't even say
for safety reasons. He just killed somebody with a gun. And I think this was posted like the day before. He committed murder with a weapon. But he wants to be sure everybody understands his safety. Now I want you to look at this fully male, facial hair, lip gloss, and hoop rings. Is that all it takes to be a woman in 2025? Is some lip gloss and hoop rings? Is that what you think you're going to remove women to?
accommodating, I would say accepting of my gender identity. And I don't want that to change if I let the internet know where I've been able to be safe as a trans woman. Anyway, I
love how transgenders are always concerned about their safety. Their safety. I need to be safe. Everybody's out to get me. And y'all the ones out here killing people.
I have been to this spa before. The first time I was here, I was the only one here when I showed up, and the woman asked me, and I think I had my hoops in, but I probably had like around the same amount of facial hair I have now. I didn't have lip gloss or anything. I don't think I had lip gloss on that, but I'm pretty sure I had my hoops in, or I had earrings in, and I had some facial hair. And that first time, the woman asked me, which locker room, what gender you identify with, and I said, I'm a woman, I identify as a woman. And then she took me to the female locker room, and that was the first time I had been in a female locker room, and it was so humanizing because it was set up to humanize.
I'm so pissed off, and I don't cuss, but can I tell you, this infuriates me. It's the first time I was in a female locker room with my dick. Let's just be honest, right? Because I'm a woman and I have a vagina. That is a man, and he has a penis. So he's in the locker room, getting naked, right? So proud of himself. He's so humanized. Baby, I got news for you. Prison has a wonderful way of dehumanizing you. And I pray you enjoy each and every moment of your long and extended stay at the nearest correctional facility to you. He was arrested at his home, which was covered in graffiti such as BLM, Free Palestine, and defund the police. This is, why does this keep happening? It's almost if an activist combination of mental illness, pro-terrorist sentiments, and hatred of law enforcement tends toward committing deadly violence. First, Minneapolis, now Massachusetts, Shasha, a radical trans activist, was arrested for murder the day after the trans church mass, bang, bang. Of course, here's the funny thing. If you live in Massachusetts, Shrewsbury is refusing to release the name of this man. And I just want to make sure that he does not end up in a woman's prison. There's been at least 4 mass shootings by transgender individuals in the 5 years previous to March 2023, and 4 too many instances of trans murders and terrorists since then. Of course, you even got the Zizzian cult. Remember, I did a video on that. I'm telling y'all, I'm sick of it. I don't know about you guys, but I am sick of it. So much going on in this world. And there's just, when you look at it and you trace it all back to the same demonic seed. And by the way, the Rockefeller family is not Jewish. They're German. She said it. They're German. So, since Hitler was desperate to keep a bloodline pure, right? I already told you guys why. For the Nephilim blood, the fallen angels. Call them reptilian people if that fits better in your brain, however you want to do it. I'm telling you guys, the Rockefeller family is obviously in that category. Maybe not all of them. It's probably watered down by now, but there are some still. I just realized that there are 2 YouTubers. I don't subscribe to either of their channels, but I've seen both of their works. Doug and Stacy and Brush Junkie. And I'm going to tell you now, both of them are on the Jews are out to get you. The Holocaust didn't really happen. But neither of them are what I would call Christians. Get mad at me. I'm so sick of the people that you think are Christians that are not. They're goats. It's just they know how to talk to you. I'm not playing games with y'all. I had somebody come on here about David Icke, and they're just like, you're biased. You're biased. Lady, grow some. I don't have time to be biased. The information is literally out there for you to go dig into it about who these people are. And then some weird person, it looks like they dropped it off in Shreveport, sends me a map out of their Bible saying, look, Palestine in Jesus's time. Do you know why it was called that? Because when the second temple fell, that's what the Romans named it, to punish the Jewish people. It does not mean that they were actually Palestinian people, but they didn't put a return address. They just sent something in the mail. That's creepy. Stop being weird, you guys. For real. The Bible, look, y'all do you. Just understand this right now, because I am so outspoken. I don't have time to play with y'all. I have an entire 100 acres of river and Lake Pontchartrain that is now toxic. It's the only place we had to go swimming. Those two things, it's done. My community, the children are having nosebleeds. My husband has a brain aneurysm. And YouTube stole my money. I don't have time to play with y'all. But I'm going to tell you the truth. God bless America and God bless Israel. And if you don't like it, it's called unsubscribe, because I don't care about anybody's feelings. I care about truth. And y'all need to be careful. You follow these people blindly. It's just weird. It's weird. Holocaust denier. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. I always thought those people were weird. Both groups were weird already. I didn't subscribe to them because I have a lot of discernment. Look, folks, coming out of addiction, being filled with the Spirit, I can just look at somebody and be like, yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. I don't care what you're saying. I can see it on you. I have 2 books. I had somebody just reach out to me and purchase an autograph. 2 books to autograph. I'm trying to put money aside for when my husband's sinus surgery happens. And then if they decide to go in and coil the aneurysm, he will not be able to work for an extended time after one and or both surgeries. So I'm trying to put money up. I'm trying to prepare for what is coming. Yep, I published a book. Guess what? We don't get our first royalty check till almost January. So stop thinking I'll be rolling around in it. If you'd like to donate even $1, we'll add our newsletter and send you the Zoom link. I love you guys so much. I got things to do. Hope you enjoyed it.